Welcome back to this week's Soul Companion and today, Soul Business Companion. And today I wanted to talk about really the spirituality that I put behind my business and how I think as women, if we can embrace the feminine energy that is prevalent out there in the world and out there in nature, then it has a huge impact on us coming into our power in a knowing and then how that shows up in our business. So one of the systems that I work with, it's called the Celtic Wheel. And I was introduced to this really when I moved to Ireland at 9 years old. So I come from Irish stock. My grandparents still moved over. And then through various family circumstances, I ended up moving back to Ireland with my mother, or emigrating to Ireland for many years throughout my school and early teenage years. And I became very fascinated at that time with Celtic mythology and myths and legends because the landscape was so alive with energy. And I had the most amazing psychic experiences. And I was introduced to the fairies of Irish mythology, and actually conversed with them, had out of body experiences with them. And they introduced me to this very much, you feel it in the landscape. And of course, it is something that is practiced in many cultures throughout the world, but I'm more familiar with it from the Irish point of view. So it basically looks at the cycles of time throughout the year, but it also recognizes these cycles are not just yearly, they're within our life, they're within our projects, they're within our relationship. Everything has cycles of sort of generation, birthing, growing, blossoming, harvest, taking those seeds and going back into the darkness again. And we are in this yearly cycle at the moment, obviously. So we had the autumn equinox, and now we're coming into Samhain, which is the 31st. Other people will know it as Halloween, but it is the ancient pagan festival of Samhain. And we're closing that period from the 6 weeks, really, from the autumn equinox into Samhain. So the whole year is divided into these 6 weeks chunks. And this is why it's quite useful to apply in business, because we are getting short bursts of activity, changing phases, and we're moving in alignment with these natural cycles of the cosmos and the earth. So we're closing one cycle. We've taken in the harvest of our year. We've taken in the harvest of our efforts over this period, and now we're going into Samhain. So we're closing that cycle and we're moving deeper into the spiral of the year. So we imagine the cycle of the year as a cycle, but actually, because a cycle is continuous, it's actually a spiral. So if we look at it full on, if I kind of draw a graphic, if we look at it full on, we're going from, the Samhain, the start of the year, and let's say we go back round to Samhain again, so we go through that whole phase. But if we look at it going through space and time, what it's actually doing is this. So it's a spiral. So our whole time is represented by a sacred spiral. So we're moving deeper into that spiral. So at this point in year is kind of an auspicious time to balance our opposites, our dark feminine, our light feminine, our masculine, our feminine, our inner worlds, our outer worlds. All these different things, these polarizations within us, what's working in our business, what's not working in our business, what's working in our life, what's not working in our life, all these polarizing opposites. So I think we're starting generally to see the world that wants to get away from these polarizing opposites of the have and the have-nots, the rich and the poor, because they're having a massive effect on all of us, on our mental health, on our climate, women's rights, men's rights. We're seeing women in various push back against this erosion of their rights on many levels, with abortion rights, the women in Iraq rising up, trans ideology on the rise, which, no one's saying trans rights aren't human rights, by the way, but there is a definite clash of interests between women's rights and trans ideology, gender ideology. So there's these constant push and pulls going on at the moment. And what we're seeing, I think, is people wanting to come out of all that polarization and find this balance between everything, between having a cohesive society and not plundering the world, having a cohesive society where we're all valued. And whether we'll ever get there, of course, is another kettle of fish, because the humans seem to, generally there's a need for masculine to have power, which then subjugates women. So there's this constant push between these two polarities all the time, and polarities within ourselves. So when we work intentionally with the power of these opposites, then we can create new realities. And this is really important for us to embrace this concept in our business and in our own life, because we are subject to these bigger forces. We get our head down our life and our business and we think, if I just take all these actions, it'll all work out. But we are actually involved in much bigger cycles of power and creation from the cosmos, from the universe, as it unfolds. And sometimes we're in epochs and of things are not our own making. We just get caught up in political unrest or societal unrest because that's a bigger societal scale that we as an individual are getting sucked along. But if we in our life embrace our inner power and our ability to work with these cycles and on our mindset, your mindset does not get rid of the fact that you are living in poverty or that you are subjugated through patriarchy or capitalism, but it does affect your inner ability to deal with those situations and create a more positive outcome. So we had the autumn equinox, and this is where tensions and things escalate, or can escalate as things come from the autumn equinox towards this point of Samhain, because Samhain is a point of shedding. So it's about getting intentional. Between the autumn equinox, Samhain was all about getting intentional and accepting and owning those opposite forces within us. So I have, for instance, let's I'll talk about me for a minute, but I can only use myself as an example. So I have a very sort of academic and strategic mind from years of being a project manager. I think we know schemes, checklists, I also have this incredibly creative mind, lots of psychic and out-of-body experiences, ADHD, which does not go well with this other. So there's this constant tension between the two. And it's about accepting that I can be both really flaky and then at times really strategic and energy and idea focus, but so I lack then the creativity or some the commitment to follow them through. It's about knowing that I can be strong or weak. It's about knowing that I can be both powerful and lazy. I can be both compassionate and assertive. I can be very insightful, and I can also be very completely way off the mark. And feminine and masculine, and introverted and extroverted. It's knowing that we have all these, and it's allowing them to come into this sacred dance, like the caduceus snake going up the staff. It's allowing them to dance together, knowing that they are opposites. And we don't want to be fully in one or the other. We want them to have an egalitarian dance where each is valued. So we've had this point coming up from the autumn equinox to Samhain, which is about knowing that these tensions are powerful. They are a creative force of nature, and that divine intelligence moves through them. And that creative dance is our source of power. We are not born powerless. Powerless is something we are born with. We are born with power. You've only got to look at, small children like toddlers and, young children, how much power and vitality they have, and they know what they want, and they're not afraid to ask for it. And then as a society, that gets knocked out of us at school. You mustn't put yourself above everybody else, let everybody else have a turn, which is, it's about learning, societal sort of what you can and can't do, but it also tends to knock our power out of us. And the socialization of women particularly depowers us, because we're taught to put ourselves last, everybody else first. The good woman is self-sacrificing, and that doesn't help us in life and business. But those threads can run deep within our psyche. So working with the natural cycles of time, because it's based upon the divine feminine, can be really empowering, because we have to both embrace both the light feminine, the maiden, the mother, the giver. We also have to embrace the crone, the older woman, who brings death, who brings decay, who brings darkness. And this is what Samhain brings us into. Samhain is about in Gaelic mythology, it's about the Cailleach, the Crone, and Samhain is the time when she emerges into the countryside. She brings the winter, she brings the darkness, she brings the chill to your bone, she brings death, she brings this all this energy, because it is about shedding and letting go. So when Samhain approaches, we have to think in life and business, what is it that we need to let go of? And this is just, deep work, if you like. What relationships are no longer serving us? What perhaps are we offering in our business that we have outgrown? What really do we really need? If we turn around and face ourselves and look ourselves full in the eye with complete and utter honesty, what do we need to let go of? No ifs, no buts. What do we need to let go of? Because we hold on to things because we're afraid of what will happen if we let go of them. We hold on for what ifs. I can't do that because what will people think? I can't, decide I want to be divorced, big example, because the difficulty I'm going to have to go through to get that outcome. So it's just easier to sit here and put up with a relationship that doesn't serve me. I'm afraid to let go of this offer in my business because I don't really enjoy doing it anymore, but it brings me in that regular income. It's about being brave and seeing what we need to let go of without having sight, because we're going into the darkness, without having sight of what is going to fill that void. We have to be brave enough to go into the void, into the darkness, knowing that we cannot yet see what is coming. Because we know that after Samhain, we're going into this darkness. We're going to that midwinter, the winter solstice, is the dark night of the soul, where we can be blinded in darkness. We've let go of what we need to let go of. But what yet has coming through between Samhain and the winter solstice in this next period, we have to have blind faith that something will emerge, because we know after the shortest day, the light will come back. The new seeds will start to germinate. The new growth will become visible by Imbolc on the 1st of December. This is the cycle. We know it happens. It happens every year. It happens in our life. It happens in our relationships. But this darkness this point of going into the darkness from Samhain to the midwinter is a leap of faith, because we go into the darkness. But everything starts in the darkness. Our ideas start in the darkness of our mind. New human life starts in the darkness of our womb. The seeds planted under the ground, their first germination occurs in the darkness. Everything starts in darkness. So we mustn't be afraid of that darkness of women, as women, of not knowing, of not having a safety, not having a safety net, but not knowing where ideas and new things are going to come from. So Samhain is the point where we think, what do I need to let go on? What is standing between me and my point of power within myself? What is blocking that relationship between me and my deep inner power? Because that's really important when we want to work with the soul of our business. Because if your energy isn't right and the soul of your business has all this energy and all these ideas and knows what it wants to become, but if you aren't in your power and you're not coming from a confident place, knowing that you can deal with what life throws at you, you can cope with new ideas. There's no skill you can't learn. There is nothing you can't do. There is too much of a discrepancy between your closed energy and this powerful energy of your diva. You can't absorb it, because we're held up by these inner fears and this what ifs, and I failed before, and I don't know if I can stand on that stage and speak to people when I'm, I've got too much spare tire and my bum's too big. We need to let go of all that. So it's what about yourself do you need to cast into the witch's cauldron to evaporate? What old habits, what old beliefs? It's not just all these things work on multiple layers, this Celtic wheel. It's not just who do you need to let go and energizing, clearing out your house, decluttering, get rid of physical things. It's getting rid of physical things, people. It's getting rid of offers and services in your business. It's getting rid of emotional thoughts and limiting beliefs. It's getting rid of unserving habits. It's about getting rid of everything that is stopping you from becoming the person that you need to become to command your own life. So Samhain so this Celtic wheel is really, really a useful thing to follow throughout the year. And it's something that I embrace in my business, I embrace my own spirituality, and something that I would encourage you to embrace as well. Because even if we look at it, let's look at how it works, for instance, in business. Let's look at the launch cycle, for instance, that we use in our business. Now, we sit there and we plan a launch, which is really, we do that in the darkness. We're planning, we've got ideas, we're not quite sure what to do, we're mulling things over. That's sort of in the midwinter phase, if you like. Then we start to take action and talk about it. We start to tell people, hey, I've got something coming up that's pretty exciting. That's like the midwinter to inbox stage, when the seeds of our ideas are just starting to be seen in the real world. We're starting to talk about it. We're starting to say, I've got this stuff coming up. You might be interested in this. Then we move into the spring growth, and we go into sort of like the pre-launch stage, where we're going, hey, we're shouting about it, we're telling everybody, we're going on podcasts, we're talking about it, I've got this launch coming up, it's going to be great, it's going to be super. Then we move into the next phase. This is where we're doing pre-launch, we're doing our webinars, we're doing our we're blossoming, it's in the summer, we're showing everybody we've got, we're doing our webinars, we're doing a live launch, you're releasing videos, you're doing a series of webinars, you've got all your emails going out. This is great, this is blossom, this is summer. Then you open cart, that goes into the harvest phase. This is where you start to get the results of all your labor. This is where you start to sign people up. Money starts to come into your bank account. This is great. You close cart. That's Samhain, that's the end. I need to let go of this now. I need to let it go, and I need to start working with my clients again and take the seeds of this knowledge of this launch into the darkness of winter to start the process all over again. So these cycles that we see as the Celtic Wheel, which is the wheel of the year, is actually the wheel of time. And the wheel of time works within our own life. We have our own spring, summer, autumn, winter in our own life. We have spring, summer, autumn, winter in relationships. We have spring, summer, autumn, winter in offers and services. We have a spring, summer, autumn, winter of a launch. Everything works within these cycles. And when you understand where you are on this cycle, when you understand that actually this project is in the spring phase or it's in the autumn phase, then it stops you taking action that isn't in alignment with where it is. There is no point in trying to revive something that is already dead in some desperate attempt to get clients, and you're trying to give it CPR to bring it back to life. That is not going to happen. So I would work now, particularly in this time of year, between Samhain now, October the 31st, going in to up until midwinter. We're going into the dark phase of the dark feminine energy. It is a time to breathe. It is a time to sit still, and it is a time to listen to what needs to be let go of, and not be afraid to pause, and not be afraid to not see what's yet wanting to emerge, because it is still in the darkness. It is a time to look at what we want to take with us as well, not just what we want to let go of, what worked really well that we want to promote and nurture, those seeds that we want to sit within the darkness. And it doesn't mean you can't launch again until, a new offer until the spring. We've got to wait for the actual physical light. It just means you're recognizing that you're going into that dark phase. And you can sit and think for a few weeks now and work out what you want to do with that knowledge again. So it's a really powerful system that has helped me tremendously. So I hope that it will help you. And if you are interested in this, I have at the moment, it's a monthly subscription, which is called Divine Timing. And it works with not just the Celtic Wheel, it also works with the lunar phases, because these are something that I actually work very strongly with in my own business. So if you want to subscribe to that, that's a £20 a month, £22 UK pound subscription that you can subscribe to. And it will give you guides, guidebooks and ritual and journals that you can work with at each full moon, each new moon, and during these 8 major pagan festivals of throughout the Celtic year. And that is delivered on a monthly basis. But I am looking at building a business mentoring program to work with the soul of your business, to work with these cycles. So plan your business year, but also plan your activities throughout the year on these cycles, by working with the soul of your business as well, so that you're creating from these really powerful places of your own inner power and your own inner knowing in a way that you'll be able to create transformational offers that will speak directly to your ideal clients based on this calendar. So watch based on this system. So watch this space, because I've not seen anything like it out there. And we're going to be, it's not just going to be business work, it's going to be real deep energy alchemy. So we will be going into deep meditative states, so you can channel this inner knowing. It will be real business know-how and real deep energy alchemy. So I'm working on that at the moment, because this is my seeds that I've taken. So this will start to emerge. So I will be starting to talk about it. It won't be available straight away, but I want to take you through this process with me so you can see how I apply this into my own business. And you'll be able to see what comes, what's currently in the darkness that I'm taking, and that will emerge. The seeds will shoot and it will emerge into the light. And hopefully that will be available in a few weeks. So hopefully it may even be available in the spring. It might be available before. Depends how quickly these shoots of ideas take form in my mind. And I can see exactly the form and function, if you like, that this offer is going to take to give you the transformation that you want. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, whether you've watched it on listen to the audio or watch the video on YouTube. Thank you very much, and I will see you again very, very soon.